Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, we are going to be talking about all of the top meme coins in the market because anytime these cryptos break out, it's right before we see the biggest alt season inside of our cycle. Every time meme coins are running, it's an early sign that we're about to see a lot more retail adoption coming into the market very soon. And anybody that understands how to play these markets can make a lot of money once they start breaking out. I'm going to be sharing with you guys some of the biggest memes in the market, the ones that have performed the best, the ones that are showing the biggest breakouts, because I think that this is an early sign that we're about to see a lot more retail money coming in very soon. If you find value in this video, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. And for anybody that wants to see how I'm investing my portfolio long term, links are in the description to go ahead and sign up on my website. Right off the bat, guys, the way I wanted to start this was mainly just talking about the Bitcoin dominance, because inside of this chart is going to reflect when the altcoins are going to shift, when we're going to see all of that Bitcoin profit rotate back into the altcoins. And as you guys can see, our momentum is severely waning right here at this descending resistance. We're seeing a lot of bearish divergence forming. Bitcoin on the dominance is actually pulling back, and we're getting another big bearish engulfing candle. And so I do think that the early signs are there that the reversal could be in very soon. Now we have two different ways of looking at this chart. This is the actual log chart, and we can see that we haven't quite retested that level. And if we take it off of a log scale chart, and then we actually come all the way down, we can see that this is kind of sitting on top of support as a breakout. So you can look at it a couple different ways. If we're looking at this from a linear scale, we can see that this has actually gotten outside of resistance. But I talked a lot about how there was a potential where this makes a move outside and then we break back down below. And this entire move ends up being kind of our last fake out in a similar way that it played out in our last cycle. Because notice we had this descending resistance here. We had been consolidating below it. Then we had one more final fake out. It was the final move before Bitcoin dominance topped, and it's kind of the same thing that we're seeing right over in here, and I wouldn't be surprised if it played out in the same way. So we're going to watch and see what happens with this Bitcoin dominance. And as we know that Ethereum has had the confirmation of the ETF, I do think that we're going to continue to see this market top. If this was to drop, get back down, start closing back below this descending resistance, I think that sets us in for a much bigger move to the downside, and we're going to be starting a much bigger move inside of altcoins as a whole. So anytime this market tops, it's right as we're seeing a flipping point inside of the altcoins. We can look at each one of our last prior all-time highs, and really the point of which we started going into a new all-time high. We can see that every single time we top in this chart, it's right as this market's about to go into price discovery. Happened here, and now right as we're looking like we're getting a lot of bearish divergence, we're getting a lot of weakness at this descending resistance, it's right when altcoins are about to be going into the next major move into price discovery again. Now I wanted to go through and compare and look at some of the meme coins in crypto, because these are going to pinpoint exactly when alt season is going to take place. These don't move unless the greater market as a whole of altcoins is going up, and anytime these are breaking out, it really signals there's a lot of retail adoption taking place in the market. The one I wanted to start out today is Dogecoin, and the reason we're starting at Doge is because anytime this thing starts moving, it's always right when Bitcoin gets to that price discovery type move. We can see that if we come all the way back in the Dogecoin cycle, when Dogecoin got added to exchanges, it was right at the cycle top in 2013 for Bitcoin. And we can see that as Dogecoin accumulated, as Bitcoin accumulated and Bitcoin started going into a new all-time high, it was actually right when Bitcoin got to that prior all-time high inside of this move here. That was right at the bottom when Dogecoin started to go into its move. Now the difference is Dogecoin outperformed Bitcoin this entire rest of the way up inside of both of these moves. And so what we've seen historically speaking is Dogecoin will lag, it'll underperform. Once Bitcoin goes into a new all-time high, that's when we start to see Dogecoin really break out. And Dogecoin doesn't move unless all of the rest of the altcoin markets are going up too. So that's something to keep a note of. And this is something that's happened each one of our cycles. Coming over here and looking at Bitcoin, in 2018, the same thing happened when we went into a new all-time high. Right at the very beginning of 2021, we can see that was putting Dogecoin right here at the very bottom of its accumulation, about to just be making that big move into price discovery. And once again, you know, Dogecoin massively outperformed Bitcoin into that new all-time high in the same way that it did inside of that 2017 cycle as well. Now, we're going into this new cycle. We're looking at Bitcoin once again sitting at these prior all-time highs, about to be going into price discovery. And where is Dogecoin sitting at? Well, it's pretty much just making the first little breakouts of this new cycle. Our cycle low was all the way down in here, so we have broke out a little bit, made a couple higher highs, but for the most part, we're kind of in that same sort of trajectory that we've been at in these prior cycles, where we've already kind of made higher highs, and we've already broken out of our cycle lows when we're comparing our last two cycles, but we're kind of at that moment right before we go into that big breakout into price discovery. And that's always where Dogecoin is at when Bitcoin starts going into that new all-time high as well. So I think that we're going to end up seeing, roughly the same thing play out once more inside of this cycle. When we're zooming into this chart and looking at Dogecoin on a weekly time frame, all we've done is break out of this bear market bottom, which was once again like 600 days of accumulation from our exact bottom to the point of us breaking out was like 616 days. So we saw a long accumulation that took place at this bottom for Dogecoin to break out of it, now just consolidate right on top of that level as new support. I really think that we're at that same moment as when we look at the last cycle, right over in here where we broke out, started retesting these prior cycle highs as new support, and now we go into price discovery. We're not going to probably go up in the same ROI as what we saw in the last cycle, but Dogecoin still to go to like $1 to $3. I think $3 could definitely happen if we get a really big hype cycle, and that's still a really good move. It's not like it's going to be life-changing for any sort of sense. 17x is pretty big gains, I would say that's fairly life-changing. But when we're talking about the greater picture of market cycles, it's mainly looking at if Dogecoin is running. I'm not saying that you guys need to buy Dogecoin. I'm saying that if Dogecoin is going to be looking this good and reversing, that means all of meme coins, that means all of retail as a whole is already kind of being here. It's already trading here. We're already seeing a lot of euphoria inside of the markets. For the markets to already be having meme coin season just to start this market cycle, it shows that there's a lot more euphoria than ever before. And I think that we're seeing something different in the cycle. And we can come over here and look at a number of these different cycles and see roughly the same sort of things. Over here is Shiba Inu, and we've done the same sort of thing as Dogecoin, right? Looking at this, all we've done is break out of this bottom formation, and we're just kind of retesting it in this, I guess you could say a bull flag type pattern. If we came out to a weekly time frame, this does look a lot more like a bull flag. And when these break out, they will just kind of go up really quickly in the same ways that they did over in here, leading into those final sort of blow off tops. It's just the way that these cycles work. Oftentimes they take a long time doing nothing and going sideways and even down. Once the Bitcoin goes into price discovery, all of the altcoins just kind of set in because everybody rushes to buy them at the same time. So when we're seeing Shiba Inu, we're seeing Dogecoin both breaking out and retesting of their bear market bottoms as new support. Shiba Inu has an entire ecosystem behind it. There's Bone Swap, there's a couple other tokens that I can't remember exactly what they were. And inside of that ecosystem, you got to keep in mind that all of those tokens are going to be pumping too. So it's not like I'm saying that you have to go buy Shiba Inu. Shiba has an entire chain full of tokens you can trade. So you got to keep in mind that meme coin season is just stretching beyond just the native chain tokens. It's entire ecosystems of memes that are blowing up. And I'm not really even trying to shill you memes, but the great thing about this cycle is because we're seeing so much adoption in the meme sector, as silly as it is in a lot of ways, it means that there's a lot of funny money in this market cycle. Shows that there's a lot of retail potential that can really drive up the prices of different assets. I think that as Ethereum has this ETF approved, we're going to see a lot of utility tokens, DeFi, NFTs, RWA, all kinds of different sectors as a whole are going to blow up because Ethereum, is going to see a lot of adoption. So I think real world technology, solid assets with good fundamentals, they're going to do well. But in the same way that those are going to do well, I think we're also seeing a lot of retail adoption because they're concentrating over here on the memes. And I think that as a whole, we will continue to see that. But I think that we're going to get it a little bit more drowned out when legitimate projects take over. Those are always the ones that end up performing the best. They give you the biggest gains, the most consistent profits. And then inside of those legitimate projects, we have entire ecosystems blowing up. Meme coins are solid, and it's great that we're seeing all of these, even coming over here and looking at Pepe. Pepe was really the first to start moving. Pepe has broken out of its prior all-time high. It's retested it as new support. That's what we did right here. And now we've even made a brand new all-time high from that point. So this one is looking, significantly more bullish than even the rest of them because it's already gone into price discovery. These are the type of cryptos you want to hold because if you can get entries into them fairly early, you know, you don't really know how high they're going to go. Price discovery can just blow people out of the water. Nobody really expects that they're going to go up so high. And I got a lot of confidence that Pepe, being kind of the premier ERC20 meme coin on Ethereum, and with Ethereum having that ETF, there's a reason it's outperforming everything up to this point. And I think people will consolidate money inside of these meme coins as they're speculating, as Bitcoin's moving into price discovery, because historically speaking, it's what has always happened. Once Bitcoin really gets to that hyped period where it's running into price discovery, Bitcoin whales will rotate profits into the altcoins. Meme coins are a significant part of this cycle. Whether people will disagree with that, it doesn't really matter. There is a lot of money that's rotating into these things. And, you know, with the thing with meme coins is a lot of them, they really have no value proposition, and then they're very explicit with telling you that. You go to their websites and it just says this is a meme, it has no value. Those are the type of tokens that can, you know, be traded because they're not securities. They don't promise you any value. You're not guaranteed anything. People are just pumping them like crazy. So it's really fun because exchanges are going to be able to participate in these regardless of your opinions on them, as, you know, silly as it is. I think that this cycle is just going to make it very clear to everybody that's trading, hey, there's a lot of funny money this cycle. There's a lot of retail here. Most likely this is going to lead to a very big capitulation, you know, going into our next bear market. Like the next bear market coming will be brutal in my opinion. There's too much funny money, right? Because we're seeing so much money consolidate into meme coins, it really shows that people are just simply here to make money. They're only here to speculate. And you only see that at, you know, generational tops of a market cycle. I'm not saying Bitcoin's dead, I'm not saying crypto's dead, but when we're seeing Pepe and Dogecoin and all of these silly things blowing up that have no real long-term use case, it's no different than what we saw in the internet bubble, being pets.com, being a number of these internet stocks that absolutely did nothing besides have a website. We're seeing the same thing, you know, in crypto repeated over again. It's just much easier for the average person to participate, and there's a lot more money tied to these things because instead of you having a stock price tied to a, you know, a website, you basically have a token tied to a website. So it's a little bit different. It's a little easier for money just to flow. And so I think that that's the real staple of this cycle, is understanding we need to take profits. You know, I still think that these things are going to run into massive moves. Looking at Dogecoin and Shiba, they literally just are getting started in all of this. So looking at Pepe barely breaking into a new all-time high, I think that this thing is going to run into the tens of billions of market cap, if not hundreds of billions in market cap. It'll blow people away. It'll surprise people. People will be so surprised that there could be so much money inside of a meme coin and a joke. And it's the type of stuff that happens before all of the early money takes profits. When we're looking at, you know, the ETF getting approved, the institutions are all here. I think it's important to look at the valuation of a market cycle, because the smart money is all of the people that were mining Bitcoin in the early days when, you know, prior to the 2016 halving. I say that is anybody inside of the smart money phase. The awareness phase kind of came on, I would say, in 2017. That was where we started to get a lot more awareness in the publicity. And then that was also at the ending of that 2017 cycle where the CME futures opened. So the very beginning of the institutional wave started in that period. And so then when we got into our current cycle, we have the ETF approval. I think that that's the very ending of this awareness phase. The institutional investors are here, they're accumulating, and now the thing about institutional investors is they have to have exit liquidity. The institutions don't get in here just to not sell. They get in here to, you know, buy bottoms and sell tops, and they're going to dump on everybody in a hyped cycle in the same way that they did in the internet bubble. Now, we're going to get through this period here, the public mania phase, and I think that we're at the early signs of that. And when we're at all of this hype cycle inside of the meme coins, seeing a lot of money consolidate into these silly sort of ideas as a whole, it really just goes to show where we're at in the cycle, getting into sort of delusions, greed, and a lot of people just kind of chasing whatever is, you know, getting up the most, whatever is pumping the hardest, whatever gets them the most excited, because everybody knows there's no value behind Pepe, everybody knows there's no value behind Doge and stuff, but people still are just willing to speculate because there's so much money flowing into crypto. All of these are red flags on the longer term trend, because we know that once smart money takes profit at the cycle top, I don't think we're anywhere close to that yet, it's going to be really brutal. So we just want to be aware of these things. You know, I'm not saying you need to go trade the meme coins. They're going to be really hyped. If all of these are going into new all-time highs, being Dogecoin, being Shiba, being Pepe, all of the micro cap meme coins are going to be doing the same thing. Most of these new chains, most of their new volume coming into them over the last few months has just been meme coins. So I think that that's something that will continue to happen. But as Bitcoin and the rest of the market gets into new all-time highs, there's going to be legitimate projects that are actually outperforming in the same ways that they have in the prior cycles. Now, Dog with Hat is Solana's meme coin, and this one looks really bullish. And I wouldn't be surprised also, because we're looking at a couple scenarios here. In the shorter time frames, we've broken from this descending resistance. So if we hold right here and we don't break down, then I think that this could be a retest before another move into price discovery. However, if this breaks down and we start losing this support, this thing could actually make a pretty big drop to the downside, but I'm not necessarily anticipating that as the primary scenario. As long as we hold this breakout, I think that this thing's going to be going into another new all-time high, and this will just do whatever Solana does, because this is the dog meme coin of Solana. This is just going to do whatever Solana does, but to a bigger outperformance. It'll basically be like 2 or 3x leverage on Solana's price. And that's the power of all of these altcoins. As we've known historically speaking, they've always been kind of a leverage bet on Bitcoin. But what we see this cycle more than ever before is people being willing to consolidate money into things that, you know, really have no use case other than speculative investments. And I think a lot of that is the testament to where we're at in the big picture trend. You know, looking at this topping, this cycle really, to me, looks a lot like what we're going to see in 2017, where there was just a lot of retail money, guys. A lot of funny money, a lot of people speculating on really anything. It didn't matter so much what it was. It could be one simple partnership and something would be up 6x on the daily inside of that 2017 cycle. We didn't see that in this cycle because there wasn't that much money to go around. A lot of this was being propped up by over-leveraged players, big players in the market, FTX, you know, Luna, Celsius, all of these other Voyager and whatnot. There was a lot of over-leveraged players in the market. We didn't even break below our peak low of that 2018 cycle. When we dropped all the way, or 2017, I should say, at the very bottom of that cycle, Bitcoin dominance peaked at 35%. We peaked at like 38% in the last cycle. So we haven't had any of the same significance going into our last bull market. However, I think that that changes right here. When this thing breaks down, it will be the first time since 2017 we'll go for a brand new all-time low. We'll break below this 35-cent all-time low, and we'll go all the way down to 25 to even 15% dominance, somewhere inside of here. And it'll be another move like this. And really, it will probably be the last true altcoin run we ever see. I'm not anticipating things will ever be like this. Seeing all of these random silly coins popping off, it is a warning sign to me on the big picture macro trend. Don't get me wrong, we're going to make an absolute killing this cycle, but you got to keep in mind, guys, that the only reason any of these silly memes are pumping is because of hype. There is no long-term adoption here. In the same way, when you look at any of the prior hype cycles, you know, penny stocks, or whether you're looking at the internet bubble with the random internet stocks in the early to mid 2000s, it's all universally the same. It's emotional based. We see these cycles go up in crazy hypes. We see them crash in the same way with a lot of fear. Don't be caught off guard. Understand where we're at in the big picture trend. Understand we can make a killing trading these things, and we will. But there's going to be a lot of retail flowing into this, and I think the big picture trend is looking strong for that, and I'm really looking forward to trading it with you guys. So if you did find value, please do me a favor, leave a like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. For anybody that wants to see how I'm actually investing this cycle, anything I'm buying, selling, trading, links are in the description to go ahead and sign up on my website. You're going to be able to get access to all of my trades, anything I'm doing, buying, selling, trading, and when I specifically take profits in the end of the cycle. That's the most important part, but I'd love to have you guys a part of it. I think it's going to be a life-changing cycle, especially when we do another one of these. So thank you guys so much for the support. And with that being said, I'll catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.